Welcome to Show-Off Showdown! In this series, the fighters are called Show-Offs, and this is the series for the Show-Off Showdown! Now let's meet the Show-Offs for tonight's showdown, shall we? Tonight, get ready to lose your minds over these two crazy gals who ain't clowning around! That's right, Harley Quinn VS Jinx! Once these loony ladies bring out their big guns, and I ain't talking about the ones you're thinking of, only one of them will be left laughing in the end!
Oh, and by the way, unlike most battles, this episode will actually have two separate rounds. One without prep time, and one with prep time. The reason is because the outcome of this battle greatly depends on the circumstances, and I'll explain more after both rounds are finished.
I put links to the analysis on both characters in the description below. Now without further ado, it's time for the Show-Off to Showdown!
Get ready for the next battle. Round 1. Fight!
All the other kids with the bumped up kicks, better run, now run my gun. All the other kids with the bumped up kicks, better run, faster than my bullet. All the other kids with the bumped up kicks, better run, now run my gun. All the other kids with the bumped up kicks, better run, faster than my bullet.
Come on, give a girl a break, will ya?
She's such a loser, always ready to cry.
Leave the humor to me, pal. Batman says you're coming with me. You'll make a nice chewy for Bud and Lou. You and me, we're going.
You think I'm crazy? You should see my sister.
I was hoping you'd say that.
That was almost not close at all. I'll give you to the count of... Time's up! Stay still! I'm trying to shoot you!
Come on, give a girl a break, will ya?
Any last words? No, just die.
I'm in a league all my own.
Dodge this.
Round 2. Fight!
All these years I blamed myself, and it was you! You killed her! Killed her? She's not dead! She went where I was supposed to go, where you could have gone! Make sense right this second, or I swear I'll execute you where you stand! I told you to pull out the sword, I told you! Where is my mother?
Avalon! It's not a myth, don't you get it? You'll never understand. I'm wasting my breath.
From this moment, your every breath is a gift from me. Say hello to my friends of varying sizes!
Not a funny name.
Run!
Let's get beautiful. Why don't you kneel? That really hurt. My feelings. Clearly, you're emotional about it. Ready to be all done breathing? How about slaps and tickles at 10 paces? I'm in a league on my own.
Whoa! Talk about a win-win!
Okay, now for those of you who don't remember, this battle had two separate rounds. One without prep time and one with prep time. And as you can tell, both of these characters have earned a win. Now before I explain the circumstances of both rounds, let's cover all the basics first. First off, let's discuss who is more skilled and experienced. Now because Harley Quinn and Jinx are both fairly young, and don't exactly have a lot of confirmation on their experience, I think their skills are going to hold more weight than their experience. Now, Harley Quinn and Jinx can both be very unpredictable, and they are both very skilled when it comes to gunslinging. Now, not only is Harley Quinn smarter than Jinx, but she's definitely a lot more skilled in martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, especially considering that Jinx has little to no hand-to-hand combat training at all. Now let's discuss speed. Now, Harley Quinn has been shown casually dodging machine gun fire on a regular basis, and Jinx has shown rather similar speed feats. For example, Jinx has avoided attacks from Vi, who can move fast enough to form a Mach comb around herself, which makes her at least fast enough to break the sound barrier. And considering that Jinx was never hit by Vi, I think we can safely say that Harley Quinn and Jinx are somewhat similar when it comes to speed. Now let's discuss strength. Now, because Jinx hasn't shown many feats of physical strength, we can actually determine some of Jinx's physicality, such as strength, through something called the G-Force. If you don't know what the G-Force is, then this video made by the Nerdist will give you a good example of it. The video is titled, "Is Attack on Titan's 3D Maneuver Gear Deadly for Humans 2?" I'll give you a link to this video in the description below. Anyway, here we see Jinx riding a missile like a surfboard, which is physically impossible for ordinary humans. Peak humans can take about 9 Gs, so exactly how many Gs would Jinx be facing? Well, let's find out. Jinx stands about 5.5 feet tall, and these missiles are roughly 12 to 15 feet long, more or less. The blast radius of this type of missile should be about 40 feet, and should travel at slightly over 2,000 miles per hour. Now, if we were to slightly highball this up to 2,100 miles per hour, then she would be withstanding about 22.5 Gs. Now, it's important to know that Jinx wasn't affected by this in the slightest. Plus, Gs can be turned into tons of force by multiplying Jinx's weight by the amount of Gs. If we assume that Jinx's weight is 45 kilograms, then the result would be that she could withstand 1,012 kilograms of force. So that's basically like a ton is constantly pushing her down. Since she was able to hold on to this, or in this case surf on it, with no problem, this means she could easily be able to lift a ton at least. Now, as for Harley, she's actually a lot more impressively strong than she looks. She once stopped a punch from Batman with just an open palm, and she's taken on much tougher opponents, such as the time she managed to beat the crap out of Killer Croc, who is pretty dang tough. although Killer Croc has consistently shown much greater feats of strength than Harley has, so we could say that Harley beating him was more due to her skill than just her strength alone. But that's not all. Now, the craziest thing I've ever seen Harley Quinn do so far was the time she actually ripped Lobo's head off. And Lobo is insanely powerful, so I have no idea how Harley was able to do that. However, I think we can safely disregard this feat, as Lobo is clearly way out of Harley's league. Now, regardless of how strong Lobo was at that very moment, I think we can safely say that Harley Quinn is at least strong enough to rip people's limbs off. Now, normally people's limbs are ripped off via draw and quarter, which requires horses. Some horses were said to be strong enough to pull up to 2,500 pounds or more, and sometimes even horses actually struggle to pull people's limbs off at first. So if Harley Quinn is stronger than that, then that's really saying something. So therefore, I think we can safely say that Harley Quinn has at least a slight edge in physical strength. However, what's really important is that because of Jinx's lack of hand-to-hand combat skill, she probably won't be applying her strength in close combat very much, while Harley Quinn definitely will. Remember, it's not the size that matters, it's how you use it. Now let's discuss durability. Now, Harley Quinn has shown rather impressive feats of durability. She's taken a lot of abuse from the Joker, tanked beatings from Killer Croc, survived crashing into a building and an explosion, and she even survived escaping a gravitational field that left a crater in the ground. So she's definitely not going to be easy to put down. Now, as for Jinx, Jinx was said to be physically frail compared to other champions in League of Legends, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have any durability feats worth noting. Earlier, we've already scaled how many G's her body can withstand, so we know that Jinx won't even be faced by anything weaker than a ton on her face. Now, in the League of Legends A New Dawn trailer, this Fox girl right here is considered to be just as frail as Jinx, more or less, but she managed to withstand a massive shockwave created by this titanic beast here. So if we scale her to Jinx, and say that Jinx can withstand the same amount of earth getting fractured as she can, I think we can safely scale Jinx's durability as somewhere around building level. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Harley Quinn and Jinx should be relatively close when it comes to durability as well. Although there is one thing that might give Harley a good edge in this category, and that would be the fact that Harley Quinn has a minor healing factor, which will definitely come in handy when she needs to recover from bullet wounds or injuries she might sustain during the battle. Now let's discuss their weaponry and arsenal. Let's start off with Jinx, shall we? In League of Legends, Jinx is known to carry 5 main weapons, including a minigun named Pow Pow, which has unlimited ammo, a shark-shaped rocket launcher named Fishbones, which fires rockets at the same rapid rate as a hand pistol, and she also often talks to it for some reason, a zap gun that fires bolts of electricity that slows down its target, and she also has something called flame chompers, which are basically like a fusion of grenades and bear traps. If an enemy touches one, it'll bite down on the enemy with its metal jaws and then explode after about 5 seconds. However, her most powerful and destructive weapon is the aptly named Super Mega Death Rocket. This massive missile gains speed and destructive capability as it travels. As awesome as it is, however, it's not the best ult in the game, as it is best used if the target is distracted, and it can be dodged by those who see it coming. However, those who don't see it coming don't have a lot of time to say their prayers. Okay, now that we discussed Jinx's weapons, let's see what kind of weapons Harley Quinn has in her arsenal. Now, I'm sure we all know of Harley Quinn's signature hammer, but she actually has a lot more different weapons than most people expect, which includes the following: a pop gun, twin handguns, a bazooka, a grenade launcher, a yo-yo taser, a can of silly string that kinda works like Spider-Man's web shooters, a boxing glove, a flower that sprays acid, cupcake bombs, pie mines, explosive bubblegum, explosive pop rocks, exploding jack-in-the-boxes, tear gas, shurikens, a syringe needle used to inject deadly substances into her foes, and not to mention a pair of vicious sentient pet hyenas. Yes, this is a thing. Anyway, so when it comes to weapons, this is mainly a battle between quality versus quantity. Kinda like that guy from Bayonetta said. So basically, what I mean is, Harley Quinn has a lot more different weapons in her arsenal than Jinx does, but Jinx makes up for that by having much more effective and destructive weapons than Harley. So Jinx has quality and Harley has quantity. And because their levels are practically evenly matched, they most likely cancel each other out in multiple ways. However, the big downside for Harley Quinn in this category is that most of her weapons may require prep time, as she doesn't carry all of them at once wherever she goes. Which now finally leads me to the circumstances and how this battle works. Now, a battle like this can actually go both ways, and both characters have scenarios where one would beat the other, which all depends on the circumstances. Which is why I decided to have two separate rounds for this episode. One without prep time and one with prep time. Now, how would these circumstances affect the outcome, you may ask? Well, here's how I think both rounds would play out. In a random encounter with no prep time, and both girls have just met with no knowledge of each other whatsoever, Jinx would most likely quickly bombard Harley with bullets, bombs, and rockets to the point where Harley just can't keep up and will most likely get obliterated by Jinx. However, in a battle with prep time, where both characters will both have vast knowledge of each other, both characters will be at their best, and Harley will have time to plan and bring everything she'll need to combat Jinx, things should definitely be a lot more interesting. Both characters have done very impressive things with prep time. For example, when Jinx had prep time, she managed to break into Piltover's most well-guarded high-security bank undetected. Not only was this plan perfectly in effect for a few days, but when she escaped, she didn't even steal anything from the vault, which basically means she only broke in to prove that she can. Now, as some of you might have guessed, Harley Quinn has two achieved greatly impressive feats when she had prep time, some of which might arguably be greater than what Jinx has done. Now, exactly how effective would their skills be against one another when given prep time? Well, in a fight to the death, Harley Quinn's preparation would give her some credible advantages over Jinx. For example, Harley Quinn has a jetpack, which she can use to outmaneuver and avoid Jinx's rockets in midair. Okay, now before someone says that a jetpack can only fly about 70 or 80 miles per hour, believe it or not, there are some types of fictional jetpacks that can fly way faster than that. If I were to give a random but comparable example, Bucky O'Hare has a jetpack which has been estimated to fly at speeds over Mach 5. Now, from what I've seen and read in the comics, Harley Quinn uses her jetpack to not only fly, but also to outmaneuver certain things that she herself can't. So it's likely that her jetpack is even faster than herself. That combined with Harley's physicality, skills, and combat strategy means she could get past just about everything Jinx has to throw at her. Now for another great advantage that Harley could use over Jinx, because Harley was and is still a professional psychiatrist with a PhD in psychology, she is capable of getting into people's heads and using it to her advantage, essentially manipulating and toying with their minds. She is also able to analyze and diagnose her opponents in short order, which will definitely be a useful tactic in a battle with prep time. While Harley may seem like she's mentally unstable, kinda like the Joker, she's actually a lot smarter and deceptive than she appears, and she often exaggerates her ditzy persona to make people underestimate her. Okay, now before people start saying that Harley can't manipulate Jinx because Jinx is mentally unstable and can't be reasoned with, I'll have you know that Harley Quinn has even managed to manipulate Lobo, which is really saying something, because negotiating with someone like Lobo is about as easy as getting Teen Gohan Fighter to stop doing Dragon Ball rants and stuff like that. Back to seriousness, if Harley can actually manipulate Lobo, then what's gonna stop her from doing the same to Jinx? Now, because Jinx is pretty much only interested in guns, explosions, and causing chaos in general, and Harley Quinn would know this via preparation, Harley would have ways of using that against Jinx. For example, Jinx can be easily distracted by pretty much anything that blows up, and Harley Quinn has pretty creative ways of blowing things up like I mentioned earlier, so who's to say that Harley won't come up with a plan that involves distracting Jinx with something explosive related at just the right moment, long enough to land a good close-up hit on Jinx, or perhaps inject Jinx with a deadly substance from her syringe needle that I mentioned earlier. Now, because Jinx mainly relies on range, and often tries to outmaneuver and escape her opponents, Harley would know that she needs to get in close in order to take out Jinx. Not to mention, Harley also has a special ability called Mayhem Mode, which allows Harley to see enemies through walls and spot structural weaknesses, which might come in handy for this battle. Now, Jinx may have a special ability of her own called Get Excited, but it can only be active if she kills an enemy opponent or tower, which means this ability won't occur unless she kills Harley first, which essentially makes Get Excited pretty useless for this battle. Now, even if Jinx is giving prep time and has vast knowledge of Harley Quinn and what she's capable of, Harley would still have greater advantages over Jinx, and Harley would still be able to outmaneuver, outmuscle, outpace, and outsmart Jinx to the point where Jinx is the one who gets jinxed. I think I've said enough. So, in conclusion, the prep time winner is Harley Quinn, and the non-prep time winner is Jinx. So for once in Show Off Showdown, we have 2 winners in 1 episode, each one depending on the circumstances. So because the scores are tied, we need a tiebreaker. Believe it or not, there was once a comic issue where Harley Quinn obtained a red and black lantern ring, which basically made her on par with Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Also, believe it or not, there is a separate incarnation of Jinx where she became a member of the Star Guardians, who are basically the Guardians of the Cosmos and pretty much a Sailor Moon ripoff. So, if you want to see a final tiebreaker round between Lantern Ring Harley Quinn versus Star Guardian Jinx, then let me know in the comments below and we'll see what happens in the future. Oh, and by the way, I want to give a very special thanks and shout out to my friend the Ragaz for helping me with the research on Jinx for this battle. I couldn't have done this without him, so please do yourself a favor and go check out his channel and subscribe.
Next time on Show Off Showdown! Got any ideas for Show Off Showdown? Then let me know in the comments below, and hopefully, I just might do them. Now stay tuned for the next episode of Show Off Showdown!